He escaped prison in a helicopter, but France's most notorious criminal, Redoine Faid, is behind bars again.
Welcome to Plain English, the podcast that goes at the right speed for English language learners. Listen now and read the transcript online at plainenglish.com. Now, here's Jeff, your host for today's episode.
And you thought El Chapo knew how to break out of prison. Wait until you hear about Redoine Faid, who broke out first by exploding prison doors, and then again by helicopter. Welcome to Plain English, episode number 93 for Thursday, October 11th, 2018. We are coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Plain English, believe it or not. JR and I have been at this for almost a year. About October last year, I started drafting some episodes and experimenting with the recording. Those first 4 or 5 episodes from October and November didn't actually come out until December, but it was right around now that we started to produce those first episodes. And what a year it has been, right? And thanks to all of you for being such an important part of it. One feature of the program that has been with us since the very beginning is the interactive transcripts. We started with just Spanish, but have since expanded to support Portuguese, then Chinese and French, then Japanese and Italian. If you go to plainenglish.com/93, plainenglish.com/93, you'll see the transcript has about 100 words and phrases highlighted in red. Just hover your mouse over these words or tap on them if you're on your phone, and you'll see the definition in your own language. That's at plainenglish.com/93 for this episode's transcript. And a quick reminder that if you like podcasts, you might also like audiobooks. And with Audible, you get a free audiobook if you sign up for a trial membership. You can find that free audiobook offer at plainenglish.com/book, BOOK. Listen, I have to apologize for my voice again today. I am in day 9 of a huge allergy attack, so if I don't sound as clear as I usually do, well, that's why. He's photogenic and even a published author, but Redoine Faid is France's most notorious criminal, and he was recaptured last week after having escaped from jail in a hijacked helicopter in July. He was captured along with his brother and 2 other men in his hometown of Creil, a suburb of Paris, during an early morning raid last week. Faid has escaped from jail twice, and twice has been caught just months after his escape. His most recent dramatic jailbreak was considered an embarrassment to the French government. But he is back behind bars this time, and government officials said he would be in a high-security facility where he will be watched extremely closely. I bet. The 46-year-old Faid has lived a life of crime. He was born to Algerian immigrants in the suburbs of Paris and got his start in crime at age 6 when he stole a shopping cart full of candy from a store. By the time he was 12, he said he knew that stealing would become his profession. He soon graduated to more serious crimes than just theft. He was a co-leader of a criminal gang that specialized in armed robberies, jewelry theft, and extortion. In the mid-1990s, he was accused of various crimes, including armed robbery and bank theft, but he managed to escape capture by living in Switzerland and Israel. But he was arrested and brought to his first trial in 1998. He served 10 years of a 30-year sentence before being released on parole. While out on parole, this is my favorite part. While out on parole, he wrote a book describing how he started on his life of crime and claiming that he had given up his criminal enterprises. But in reality, he was just getting started. Soon after the book came out, he organized a massive armed robbery of a security van carrying cash, one of his favorite targets. But the robbery went awry and resulted in a gunfight that killed a police officer. He was sentenced to prison again for his role in that robbery. That's when he started planning the first of his 2 sensational jailbreaks. In April 2013, he broke out of prison after taking 5 prison guards hostage and using explosives to blast through 5 prison doors before escaping in a getaway car. He burned his escape car and disappeared, but authorities captured him again just 6 weeks later and returned him to prison. They found him in a hotel room trying to obtain forged documents. He had been preparing to go to Israel. Then came his second escape in July, a sensational escape and an embarrassment to the French government. A group of criminals, pretending to be flight students, boarded a helicopter with a flight instructor at a nearby flight school. Once in the air, they hijacked the helicopter, taking the instructor hostage, and forced him to fly to the jail where Faid was being held. Then, with Faid aboard, they made the flight instructor fly them to an area in northwest Paris where Faid and his accomplices fled in an escape car. To prepare for that escape, they had scouted the prison using drones. As a criminal, Faid has always had a flair for the dramatic. He preferred bank robberies and robberies of armored vehicles carrying cash. He drew his inspiration from Hollywood movies, especially the movie Heat, starring Robert De Niro. He mimicked the character in that movie by wearing ice hockey masks to conduct a robbery on a security van. He even caught up with the director of the movie and told him, "You were my technical advisor." But Faid was better at committing crimes than he has been at evading capture. Police had been monitoring cell phones of his accomplices, and they identified a young woman in his hometown, Creole, who might have been involved. She told police that she had seen 2 people in burqas, the traditional full-body Muslim dress used by women, even though the people wearing them appeared to be men. And that was all the police needed to storm the flat where the burqa-wearing men were suspected of being, and they caught Faid and his brother just after 4 o'clock in the morning last week. Faid spent just 3 months free before being recaptured. Wow, caught in his hometown. I would have thought maybe he'd stay away from the place he grew up, but I guess he thought the full-body religious garb would keep him hidden. By the way, special thanks to Aude in France for suggesting this topic. Aude says she loves the pace of plain English and has finally found something interesting in English to listen to. Great to have you with us, Aude. And also a quick hi to Nahed, who found us on Twitter at Plain English Pod. Nahed is from the Gaza Strip, so thanks, Nahed, for listening and for connecting with us on Twitter. The phrase I want to share with you today is in reality. This is a good one if you find yourself saying the word actually a lot. You can use the phrase in reality when you want to contrast what you expected with what is actually true, or with what actually happened. The French police called Redoine Faid the writer because he wrote a book. Do you remember what that book was about? It was about how he had given up a life of crime. Right, that was before he committed the majority of his crimes. So he said he had given up crime, but in reality, he was just getting started. We may have expected him to be on the straight and narrow, to be a nice, law-abiding citizen, since he wrote a book about his experiences and promised to have given up criminal activity. But the truth was, in reality, he was just getting started on his life of crime. I'll give you a couple more examples. I thought this was going to be a relatively easy episode to research and write, since it's not a really complicated topic. But in reality, it was pretty difficult, since the articles I read were confusing about the timeline and didn't really explain Faid's history very clearly. I had to do more work than I was expecting to put the pieces of this story together. I thought it was going to be easy, but in reality, it was kind of hard. French police may have thought they were guarding Faid carefully after his first escape from jail, but in reality, they weren't doing enough, since he was monitoring the jail from drones and escaped a second time. Here's another good example. When I was first learning Spanish, I thought that reading Harry Potter books would be a good way for me to practice. But in reality, it was not a great idea, since a lot of the words in Harry Potter books are not common words. Spells, potions, wizardry, things like that. In reality. So keep that in mind the next time you want to say actually to describe something that turned out differently than you expected. You know, I mentioned Harry Potter books. If you already know the story, those might not be bad books to try in audio format. I have listened to a sample of the first Harry Potter book in audiobook format, and it's pretty good. Not too fast. And if you want to get that one for free, you can sign up for a free trial at Audible by going to plainenglish.com/book. plainenglish.com/BOOK. If you do that, you'll be taken to a sign-up page that has all the details. Just remember, you have to sign up for a trial membership. But if you don't want to pay in the future, just cancel the trial membership within the first 30 days, and you can keep the sample audiobook. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is 8 hours of English audio, all from a story that you already know and love, and totally free. So check that out at plainenglish.com/book, BOOK, if you're a Harry Potter fan. That's it for today's episode of Plain English. Thanks for being with us again. Thanks for putting up with my voice again. We'll be back here on Monday. Hopefully a nice, clear presentation and a fresh set of pipes for me. But regardless, we'll be here on Monday for episode number 94.